right. So my camera's right over my right shoulder here, so that's what I'm looking at. All right, good morning, everybody. Today we are starting Mechanics of Materials, ES 2410. This is our first lecture. We will probably have approximately 3 or 4 lectures for every chapter, and they will all be available on your Moodle page. So the first thing, what we're going to do today, we're not going to cover any content, but we're going to take a look at our Moodle page, and then we're going to go through the syllabus. And then if you have any questions, those of you that are here in class, you can ask me, or if you're not in class physically, please send me an email, and we'll take it from there. But I always get back to you on my email as quickly as possible. All right, so the first thing is everything, please don't judge me for all my icons and I'm not very tidy with my computer, I know, my desktop. But the first thing that you'll need to do for this class is to make sure that you are able to access your Moodle page. And that is on your my.nwc.edu page, and you'll have an icon over here on the right that says Moodle, and underneath it you'll have the shell for any classes that you're taking that have a Moodle component. So our class 2410 is the second on my list, but it could be anything on yours. Oh, and they've just changed this. That is just beautiful. Let's get rid of this. There we go. All right, so our Moodle page right now is pretty bland and pretty generic, but the only thing that we have is the course syllabus. So that's what we're going to go over today. This is a copy, if you're physically in this class, it's a copy of what I've given to you. If you are out in cyberspace, then the same material will apply to you, and you're always, no matter which class you're in, you always have access to the syllabus through your Moodle page. I'll post all of our lectures, all of our homework, and if I take notes or do anything outside of the textbook, I'll also post it to the Moodle page. So you should always have access to everything in the class through our page. So getting down to the nuts and bolts of this class, we have 2 sections, ES 2410 section 01 and 1N, which are the physical page. One is here in class, and 1N is the cyber page. And the class is Mechanics of Materials. If you're in the physical section, we will always meet in this classroom Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 o'clock. And all of those lectures will be available on our Moodle page. So for the internet section 1N, although you won't be meeting with us, you'll have access to the same lectures that the in-class students have. My name is Astrid Northrup, and my office is in SM 117, which is right down the hall from where we are today. I've put my office phone on my syllabus, but the best way to get a hold of me is through email. So I answer my email several times a day, and if you need to get a hold of me, please send it through email, because my office phone, first of all, I don't answer it all the time, and second of all, I don't actually have a phone cord on it, so I have to put you on speaker if I talk to you, and third of all, sometimes the system just sort of resets itself and I don't have any of my voicemails. So it's not the best way to get a hold of me. My office hours I will keep are Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 to 10 and Tuesday from 10 to noon, but I'm in my office a lot more often than that, and anytime I'm in my office, you are welcome to stop by. My first job and my first priority is to help students, and so I want, unless one of my bosses is in there talking to me, which happens once in a while, my preference is to, well, even if they are in there, my preference is to speak to you. I shouldn't have said that on camera, but please come by any time, because that's what I'm here for. So the catalog description of this class, the analysis of design of members subjected to various types of loading, and this includes the mechanics of deformable bodies. Now, those of you that have had statics or mechanics in physics, you may not have even really thought about this, but in statics or in mechanics, Physics 1310 or for Physics 1110, we sort of assume that bodies are not deformable and they don't break. So in other words, we load them, we put forces and moments on them, and they just accept it. They don't bend, they don't stretch, they don't rupture. In this class, we're going to examine the hard truth that things break and bend and get old and creep and slip and do all sorts of other things, and we're going to talk about how we design with those ideas in mind. So the additional description, this is a 3-credit course. We just studied the internal responsive forces and stresses in structural members due to external loads and the deformations caused by various loads in these members. Specifically, we will study the internal responses, which are shearing stress, tension, compression, strain, and deflection as a body deforms and responds to external loads, such as axial loads, transverse, torsional, bending, and combined configurations. Now, if you don't know what all those things mean, that means that you're in the right place, because if you knew what that was, you wouldn't have to be in class. But those are the things that we're going to learn over the course of the semester. We also examine elementary design of certain structural and machine elements, taking into account shapes and properties of different members made out of different materials. The focus is on behaviors of materials in their elastic regions, and the discussions will include suitability of certain designs based on Young's modulus, material strength, Poisson's ratio, and other physical properties. And so by the end of the class, once again, you will know all of those things. Inertia, moment of inertia concepts that you learned in statics will be reviewed. I found that a lot of students coming out of statics really don't remember very much about the methods of joints and sections. So the first thing we'll do in here is to review that so that you're ready to proceed. So we'll spend a day doing some of those statics concept reviews. We'll do an analysis using more circle energy methods, shear and moment diagrams, and the method of superposition. So the main outcome, I'm not going to really read through this with you, but the main outcome of this course, this is a sophomore level engineering course. It's required for most engineering majors. If you are in mechanical engineering and you want to go to University of Wyoming, this is part of what is called the success curriculum, which are 10 courses that need to be completed with a B average or better before you're allowed to take any mechanical engineering courses. That's unique to UW. It's unique to mechanical engineering, but it's something to keep in mind. So you want to try for, if you got a C in this course, you would have to get an A in something else, but you really want to try for an A or a B because that sets you up so that you're not going to get bottlenecked if you're going to UW to study mechanical engineering. So the textbook, Mechanics of Materials, 7th edition by Beer and Johnson. This is a required text. It's quite spendy. We're using the 7th edition. And it's also, I want to make a point, this is not the international edition. If you have the international edition, you'll only have problems in SI units. So you need to have I don't even know if there's a name for it, the edition that's published in the US. If you have the international edition, you can get the homework problems from me, but you'll have to remind me because I won't remember. So the text would probably serve you pretty well. Yep, Christian, yours is perfect. That's the right one right there. So, but if you don't have the right edition, let me know and we'll make sure that we're able to compensate for that. All right. So our assessment in this class is homework assignments, a midterm exam, and a final exam. So we cover 8 or 9 chapters in this textbook. And although we will assign homework probably 3 different times per chapter, 3 or 4 times per chapter, I collect all of the homework when the chapter homework is finished. And the reason for that is that the concepts and ideas are a little bigger. You have to get the concept in a section, but really you're not going to have mastery till you finish the stuff in the chapter. So you may want to go back and say, oh, I really didn't get that part, part 1. So I'm going to redo these problems. Now I understand them, so I'm going to move on to part 2 and so forth. So I like to wait till we're done with a chapter to collect your homework. But we will spend time in class or over email talking about the homework. So I will lecture about it. I'll assign some homework problems. Then my hope is that you will go home and work on them that night or the next night, come back to class, and have questions ready from that homework assignment. So and even if we spend the entire class or most of the entire class on your homework, that's fine. That's a good use of our class time together. So if you don't have enough time to work with me in class, or if you are in the distance section, just email me, and once again, I respond really quickly, so we'll just take care of it over email. We can also Skype or Zoom, and that's less easy, but it still works very well. So the homework assignments, like I said, there will be 8 or 9 homework assignments, and they will be worth 20% of your grade in the end. Our midterm exam, which is not given over the internet, it is proctored, but it's worth 40% of your grade. Now, here for us in the physical class, I will set a time when we can just get together and do the test, just like any other class. But if for some reason that time doesn't work, I'll proctor you outside of that window. So the only thing I really would like is to have the midterm completed sometime between October 17th and October 19th. Okay, that's just the middle part of the semester. We don't really have a fall break, so it's not like we have a day off or a week off or anything like that. But if in the spring, I try to plan my midterms so that nobody has to go home over spring break and come back and take an exam. That's kind of horrible. So then our final exam, once again, is proctored. We have a 2-hour time block. I think it's on December 13th, set aside for this class. But if you are not in this class physically, or if you just prefer to take it outside of that window, we'll set up a time, and I'll proctor you for another 2 hours. So your final exam is 40% of your grade, your midterm exam is 40% of your grade, and your homework is 20% of your grade. So generally, an overall percentage of 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 90 is a B, and so on. Less than 60% is an F. Now, speaking of the percentages, I will tell you I never, ever round down. So if you have a 90.0, you are absolutely guaranteed an A. Sometimes I will round people up a little bit depending on how the grades in the class fall. So if you have an 89, you may have an A minus, you may have a B plus, or you may have a B. It just sort of depends on where those grades lie. But a 90 is an absolute guarantee of an A, and an 80 is an absolute guarantee of a B. Even if you have a 90 and everybody else in the class has a 106, you still get an A. You know, that's only fair. So the rounding may work to your advantage. It will never, ever work against you in any way. Okay, now here's another one. All homework, even for the people here on campus, I would really like to have you scan and submit your homework through Moodle. It's a lot easier for me to organize and get things graded in a really timely fashion. I taught fluid dynamics online this summer, and everybody was out in cyberspace. You know, I didn't know any of my students personally, but submitting through Moodle was just a breeze because everybody's homework was in. I graded everybody's at the same time. I was able to comment and see trends that I needed to adjust my teaching to, and so I really want to have everybody submit through Moodle. Now, are there scanners? I had called somebody this morning. Are there scanners on campus for you guys to use, or do you know? I don't know. I will attempt to find that out. Okay, so that's something I called this morning. I called computer services. I haven't got a call back yet. We do have a scanner on our printer. Don't know how our divisional secretary would feel about people coming in and scanning, but if you don't have access to a scanner, I'll try to help find a place where you can do that. Okay. The other good news I thought of is then you'll have all your homework. You won't even have to hand it to me and pray to God I don't lose it or mess it up or scribble on it. You'll have your nice pristine homework at your command all the time. So that would work. Like I said, please, and now this is not valid, but please turn in well-organized, neat, and coherent homework solutions, because I know you all will, with appropriate units on quantities on engineering comp paper or other quadro paper. So I did not bring, did anybody bring engineering paper with them today? Okay, so I'll show you an example of what it looks like, but I don't want you to turn in your homework on like pages ripped out of a spiral-bound notebook or something like that. I'll put up an example of what it looks like in just a moment. But the other thing is that there will be a due date for the homework. Like, you know, the first homework assignment will be due in a week and a half or 2 weeks. And if you miss that deadline, at the bottom of our Moodle page, I'll have a Submit Late Homework button, and that will be open all year. So you can submit through that, and you'll get partial credit. Now, how much partial credit you'll get depends on when you submitted it late. If you submit it 4 minutes late, you're going to get all the credit. If you submit it 2 days late, you'll get less credit and so forth. So I haven't really made any guarantees about that, but that's another good thing is I have a timestamp on it. So if you really were a person who was scanning your stuff and the system went down and you submit it 10 minutes late or an hour late, I can see that, you know, which is to your advantage because it's not just later on time. So I have sort of a scale where I can give you more credit if you submit it pretty close to the right time. All right, the next parts are required elements of the syllabi. I'm sure you've already seen them. We have an American with Disability Act statement. If you have a disability, we will support you in your learning with that issue. And we have a Disability Support Service Coordinator with the phone number is on the syllabus. Or you can stop by the Student Success Center, which is located in the lower level of Coulter Hall right across 6th Street here. If you have something that helps you in class and you tell me about it, I'll be happy to work with you on that. It's just that I'm not trained in disability support, so I may have not a very good idea of how to do that. So that's why we work through the DSS. But if you know what works, let me know and I'll, you know, like I had one student one time, I always remember this, he had a reading disorder or disability, but if he took a piece of blue film and put it over his paper, he could read perfectly. So I said, we don't need to go to just bring your blue transparency. You know, I mean, it's not brain surgery. Please just bring it, and we'll take care of it. So if there's anything like that that helps you, please let me know. I had another person who liked to keep little M&Ms on her paper, like, so she would have like 4 problems and she would put 4 M&Ms like that. So when she finished one problem, she would eat an M&M. And so it's just, I don't know. So I'm like, it's fine. Yeah, I'm a big fan of eating candy. So please, whatever makes it easy for you. I mean, to a point, right? You can't use the internet and so forth, but there you go. So we also have a non-discrimination notice. We're very serious about this. We have the Office of Civil Rights involved, but we do not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, disability, age, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, genetic information, or veteran status. So you do have recourse if you feel like anyone is not treating you fairly based on any of the protected classes. And once again, any of these issues, I'm not only your teacher, I'm also the division chair. So if you have any issues, please feel free to come to me and I will be happy to get you connected up with the people who can help you the most. So we also have, like it says, a respect for diversity, which is not just limited to the protected classes, but we like to have all sorts of people in class. It makes this community much richer. So we're committed to that as well. Now, another nuts and bolts issue is the withdrawal process and the schedule. Officially, this is a 3-credit class, so you are allowed without penalty to miss 3 classes over the course of the semester. Now, because I record my lectures, I'm really not that brutal, but I do like to have everybody here. So please come all of the time. And if you're sick or you can't make it, I mean, I feel like our relationship is a relationship between adults, so I'm not going to police you or hunt you down or check to make sure that you really did have a cold or whatever. So just come most of the time, and when you don't come, watch the videos and let me know when you don't understand something. But if you need to drop or withdraw from this class, you need to go through the process of dropping or withdrawing. Please just don't quit coming. We do not expect that would happen with students like you who have been in college before, but occasionally we'll just have a student who'll say, like, I can't come anymore, you know, my car broke down, and I get a voicemail. I can do something with that, but it's really tricky for me to do that. So it's important for you to go through the process to drop or withdraw so that you don't get an F, because that's a bad thing. A withdrawal will not hurt you, an F will. So you can go to enrollment services is the best place, or to a certain extent, to a certain time, you can drop or withdraw online yourself, but enrollment services can always help you do that. All right. Academic honesty is another issue that's a big issue. Basically, when we do homework and so forth in this class, I do not have a problem with you working together on your homework. Really don't have a problem with you using Chegg or solution systems as long as you understand what you're doing. The homework, however, I'm just pointing this out, is worth 20% of your grade. So if you copy your homework from Chegg or from Dane, right? Don't copy from Dane. But anyway, if you copy from somebody, you are not going to be prepared for the midterm and the final, which are worth 80% of your grade. So you guys are all good at math. You can do the math on that and see what's going to happen. So make sure that you understand what's going on. One time about 4 years ago, I had 2 students in thermo who were using Chegg, and we identified an incorrect solution in Chegg. And what they had done, it's even worse than it sounds. Chegg had gotten a hold of an instructor's solution manual, and the solution in the instructor manual was incorrect. So I reworked the problem, and I was really confident that I was correct, but it's kind of scary to say, yeah, Chegg and the solutions manual created by the author of this textbook are all wrong, and I have the right answer. So I visited with some of my colleagues at University of Wyoming who also taught the course, and they worked the problem, and they're like, yeah, this is wrong. There was a poor underlying assumption in the problem. So although the material is quite reliable, it's not perfect. So there's that also. I also am not perfect, but I view it as part of my job. If I make a mistake, I'll run it down and find out where it is. So I've been at this for a while, so I make fewer mistakes than I did 10 years ago. But if it happens, please bring it to my attention, because I also tell people, I've had people tell me, like their high school teachers or something will say, oh yeah, I was just making that mistake to see if you were paying attention. I never do that. If I make a mistake, it's just a full-on mistake. I just did not do it right. So if you see something that I have done incorrectly, bring it to my attention. Won't happen often, but it may happen. So please understand, I'm not being a smart aleck or trying to catch you. So it's just me not being perfect. So there you go. So anyway, as far as academic honesty goes, it's very hard, in my opinion, to cheat on homework. It is very easy to define what cheating on a test is. So tests are not group projects. Tests are you by yourself. And if you do take them online, I proctor online, or I have a proctor that I vet online. So nobody gets to sit at their computer and just do their exam. But there are 2 basic types of academic dishonesty. One of them is cheating, and one of them is trafficking. So cheating is where you as a student take material that you shouldn't have into an exam or use somebody's material. Trafficking is when you give your stuff to someone else. And trafficking is a little harder to understand because it just feels like you're being a good friend. But it's still academic dishonesty. Everybody needs to have the same shot at success. And if somebody, I'm not even going to look, you guys would never do this, but if, Fred in the back of the class is getting all of his material from Joe, Joe takes the test and gives it all to Fred, and Fred looks like the stellar student, what that does is it makes him look better than you guys, right? And it gives him an unfair shot at success. And it also, I was talking about my grading scale, it can also keep you at a B instead of getting a B plus with the same grade, or an A minus. It's like if you had an 89, but Fred has 100, it's like an 89 doesn't look very much like 100, but if Fred had an 82 or a 92 and you had an 89, they look more the same to me. So once again, never going to boost you down, but it may prevent you from getting boosted up. So keep those things in mind as well. All right, the final exam schedule is listed. I believe our final in this class is Thursday in the middle of the day. I can't remember what time, but it is on the schedule right here, which is a hot link, so you can go to that and take a look. But once again, we have a window of time to do that. We have some other student resources, Student Success Program, the Tutoring Center, the Child Learning and Care Center, the Hinckley Library, Project Succeed Trio, and we have some net tutoring services as well. We also have some emergency procedures. We drill these not all the time, but we drill these things frequently. So in the event of an unforeseen dangerous situation, we have procedures in place to get everybody clear and safe. And it's available here at the bottom, so you can go to that link if you want to. The other thing is, because of safety reasons, I do not forbid you from having your cell phone during class, because we have rave alerts and so forth, and if something's happening, I think disseminating information is really important. So, you're welcome to keep your phone with you during class. However, during exams, if we are in a room together, or if you're in a room with a proctor, I would like your phone to be with me or the proctor. Or you can turn off your phone, and if you're with me, I'll always have my phone turned on, and I'm on the same alert systems that you are. So far we've been pretty lucky. Everything's been okay, but you don't want to take any chances with any issues of safety. So what we're going to do then is, on Friday, we will begin working in this textbook. So you need to make sure that you have your copy of this textbook by Friday at 10 a.m. Actually, we're going to be doing a review on section of joints and methods of joints and methods of sections. So the actual drop-dead deadline for you having this textbook is Monday at 10 a.m. So Friday we'll be working a little bit. We could work out of the book, we could work in the book. So, but it's not absolutely essential that you have it Friday. It is absolutely essential that you have it Monday. Okay? Yes, sir.
So I have scholarships.
Yes.
I'm not going to be using at the bookstore.
Got it.
Using online, but they don't give me that money until Friday.
Yes.
So I can't make an order or a purchase for any type of book until Friday, which might not show up this weekend.
Try really hard. Get the express. I know. Well, and it's so strange because getting things mailed to Powell is quite a lengthy process. I have, one of my sons is in college in Casper, and I mailed something to him from the Cody post office. It got to Casper, like I mailed it Monday afternoon, it was there Tuesday morning. So if you go that way, it's all good, but coming back in is kind of a problem. So, but I would just ask for 2 days or something. Just get it as soon as you can. But I understand money is money, so yeah. But do get it as soon as you can. All right? Thank you for telling me, though. And I can't do that. It would be a violation of copyright law for me to do this, but if you have a book coming and you need me to photocopy something for you, I can do it, as long as the purpose of me photocopying is not to help you to not buy a textbook. That's kind of the copyright law. I'm sure a lawyer would say it more eloquently, but basically, as long as you're buying a book, I can copy some stuff for you. So if you ever need something copied, any of you, just let me know. Because I don't really look you out. I don't say, oh, Dane, I don't know if you have your book, do you want me to copy something for you? But if you need it, just come find me and I'll do that. The other, it's not a big factor, it's just a little thing. But I have a class right after this class that's over in the Fagerberg building. So right after class is not going to be a great time to catch me, So if you come before class, I'll be in my office, or I'll be back in my office in the afternoon as well. I'll probably be there at noon, but today I have a meeting with one of my deans, so that's kind of what's going on. So, all right, do you guys have any other questions for me? I'm very happy to have you all here. This is going to be a great class. I've had many of you in class before, so I think everything will be great. But the main thing to remember is, if you start having trouble, communicate with me, because I think communication is kind of the essence of the whole thing. So, and I am here. I mean, my job is to help you. I'm not trying to weed anybody out. It's not the purpose. Purpose is to get you ready for the next step, and so I would like to help you in any way I can. And I may be able to anticipate some of those ways, and I may not be able to anticipate some of those ways. So let me know if you need anything, and we'll move forward from there. So, all right. And I wanted to show you one other thing. See, I hate it when teachers do that. When they say we're going to go, and then they don't go. But I want to show you, if I can find it quickly, what quadrille paper looks like. All right. I have to flip this over to the Podium PC. Okay, this is a different Moodle page. I can post this on yours if you want. But this is this kind of paper. You may have seen it in the bookstore. It's usually light green in color, but it can be gold or it can be white. But basically, there's little squares on it all over the page. And this is just a template for how I like. This is not like it has to look exactly like this, but this is kind of how I like your homework to be submitted in this neat format with the answer clearly delineated and your thought process. So one other question or one other statement. How much credit do you think you get for just writing an answer on a piece of paper? A lot. No. So I always tell people in engineering, every problem is kind of like an essay question, you know? Because what I really want is to see your thought process. I want to see how you think through a problem, because a wrong answer can be extremely wrong, or it can be just a little wrong. So, and if you start to have a flaw in the way that you reason through a problem, I want to be able to correct that before it becomes a huger problem where you think that you learned the wrong thing and internalized it. So there's a lot of different ways to approach that. So, but anyway, so if you can use Quadro paper, and you'll notice there's nothing ripped out of a page here. And then this is not as important if we're submitting through Moodle, but still, I really like to have your name and the problem set, the day it was due, and the course that you're taking written on the top. It's less important through Moodle because everything will be organized through Moodle. But if I'm just getting papers on a desk, it's quite likely, not this semester, but sometimes I'll have several students in different classes. I'll have a few students that they're taking 2 or 3 classes from me. It's really easy to get your paper in the wrong pile. And then it's not a fatal error. I've never lost anybody's stuff, but it's a confusing error. So if you give it to me with your name and the class and the due date, I can make sure that I get it in the right pile. But Moodle will do that for us, so that's the good news. All right. Oh, I have one other thing. I'm going to turn off the presentation. We are done with the material, but I have